Welcome to the home of the DIY movement, where we build stuff and paint things.
All right, y'all, it's way back Wednesday, man. Welcome back. Where we last left off, man, we were assembling the 63. We repainted it, and we started putting back together, and then I eventually sold it. And this is the day that it left. But we did do some more work to it before we got rid of it, so let's get into it. So where we last left off, man, we decided to go ahead and two-tone the side stripe on the car with a dark green, man. So that kind of changed the direction, kind of turned into a custom car and no longer a bone stock car, man. So that being said, I went ahead and bought the grill guard. So we had a front grill guard. It was reproduction. It fit pretty decent, surprisingly, and the chrome plating was nice. Went ahead and threw it on, so it's looking pretty proper. I wish at the time I would have made a template for it. I get a lot of people asking me for that, but so it had a repop grill guard, and then we decided to put on some 13x7s. Here's a side shot of it with the dark green side trim with the stock wheels and the skirts. Doesn't look bad, but the dark green kind of gives it a custom look, whereas the original look would be a white insert in the side molding. So we want to switch it up, right? So, if you guys know me and you follow the channel and you follow the brand, I'm a big roadster guy, right? So I was able to pick up these set of 5 Hunter Spoke, Center Gold, Roadster knockoffs, Roadstars, Series 3s. Really nice wheels, man. The only downside that I loved them, but they're Hunter Spokes. I'm not a big fan of Hunter Spokes, but man, they were beautiful wheels. And the gold was still nice and bright. The chrome was pretty much flawless. And I went and it's crazy, man. Lowriders are something else, man. You'll spend, these guys spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a set of wheels, and then go put a $20 tire on it, or now a $40 tire radial, $200 set of tires on some $5,000 wheels. I don't know of any other genre of car building that does that. Trucks, shit, man. If I go to NTB and buy some new tires for my truck, stock tires, I'm gonna be in them for $1,500, man, for some tires. But lowriders go buy the absolute cheapest tires, and that's exactly what I did. I went and bought the Travel Stars, which are complete garbage. Well, take that back. My experience with them is complete garbage, but I hear they had some good batches, but the general consensus is they're trash. Not the tread pattern. The tread pattern is nice, but the white walls. The white walls just turn brown, man. They call it blushing or whatever, but trash. Basura. Right? So, and I remember the day that I went to go put these tires on, I was texting a friend of mine, and he said, well, what tires you go with? I said, man, I went with these Travel Stars. He's like, man, good luck. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And sure enough, man, these things, they turn brown just sitting there. They turn brown. But have no fear, man. I have a woman that supports what I do to the point that she'll volunteer to paint the white walls, right? So I bought some white wall paint. I forgot from where. It's supposed to be some sort of rubberized paint that didn't work either, but it looked good for a little bit. So we painted all 5 wheels, the white walls, with a little sponge brush there, and they looked really good, man, for a little bit, but they turned brown again, and then if you're scrubbing them, you're scrubbing the paint off. So it's just, man, the Travel Stars are just complete trash. Here's a picture after they were all painted, set of 5, and that was when we had our Dobermans. That was the first Doberman I had. I named him Boss Man. Boss Man was a big old sissy, but he was a good dog. Seemed like the only person he listened to was me. He listened to nobody else in the household. I remember actually, man, we were having a little party, and my buddy Danny, he think we had some food or something inside the house. Like, you know, the food was inside the house, but we were partying outside. And he was like, man, I'm gonna go get another plate or whatever, or I forgot what it was. And I was like, man, go ahead. So he walked and he went to like open the back door, and Boss Man went nuts. Which is the first time I ever seen him do that. He went nuts, like, because I guess he was trying to get in the house. I mean, I don't know, but we had to put him in solitary, and we had to put him in ad seg after that. But that was Boss Man right there, trying to see what the gold centers are all about. And that was my buddy's 53 that was here at the time. So we wanted to put the center gold 13s on the 63. But before we do that, man, we have a problem with the rear end, right? You guys run these 13s. You already know you can't run 13s with skirts. I mean, you can if you modify the skirt, if you put a Y bone or this and that, you know. But the best way is to narrow the rear end. Modifying the skirt is a great alternative. Sometimes if you're turning up on an incline or, you know, something like that, you may still rub a little bit. Ultimately, you want to narrow the rear end. So a stock 64 or 63, or really 58 to 64 rear end is 60 inches wide from wheel mount surface to wheel mount surface. You need to narrow it 1 inch on each side, which is going to make it 58 inches wide. Okay. So a few different ways. This was early on. This was 2014, I think. Now you can order a 4.9 in whatever length you want. Back then, not so much. Lincoln Versailles were a hot item back then. Narrowed stock rear ends were a thing to do. They're still kind of weak, especially with drum brakes. But I mean, the car was stock, didn't have hydraulics. So let's try it. Let's try and narrow the rear end myself. So what could be so hard about this, right? So all I did was I put it up on jack stands like you see. I got some 1-inch tape and I put it around the axle housing and made a cut, then made another cut and went to weld it back. You also gotta cut down the axles, which are hardened. So I used a DeWalt chop saw to do that. I don't have any pictures of that. All I did was chop the ends down and then extend the splines with a cutoff wheel, which is kind of hackery, but it works. And some professionals do that. So I was like, this can't be that hard, right? So I did it. I narrowed the rear end. I put it on, got the brakes hooked up and all that, you know, got everything mounted back on, and took it for a test drive. And it had a weird howling. I don't know. It's just, I can't describe it. It wasn't constant. I don't know if it was the U-joints or if it was the axles or what, but it had a weird noise going on that I didn't feel safe at highway speeds. So ditched that idea. And I opted for a G-body rear end, which is already 58 inches wide. You get them in G-bodies, you can get them in S10 trucks, and I don't know what else, but I know those two. And I got this one cheap. It was like less than $100. And I had to get the mounts transferred. I took them to my buddy Al at Fine Line. He handled that. And I put it back in. And we have an automatic, you know, narrowed rear end that doesn't need to be cut. And it's, you know, it's already the appropriate width to clear skirts, or 7-inch wide wheels, reverse wheels. with skirts on these Impalas. So here's after I got the wheels mounted, or a set of wheels. This was some 14-inch wheels I had at the time, and boom, we got clearance, man. So this is money. We're in the game, right? We made it happen without having to go anywhere. So the G body, the G body rear end worked out great. It's a good alternative. You do have to transfer the brackets, but nowadays, I mean, you can order a rear end for whatever application at whatever width you want, with whatever gears you want. So the G body swap, I guess you can call it, is kind of old technology. It still works, but there's better ways to go about it, you know, in today's time. So I would recommend just doing that. If you really wanted to get a new rear end, I would just get a 4.9 and have it made to whatever, you know, specifications you want. Here's a picture of the Y bone that I ran. This basically replaces the banana bar. You guys probably pretty familiar with this type of thing. Maybe somebody out there is not. It's a Y bone turned into a 3-link. Excuse me. And here's the car down on the ground with, these are 14s, 14x7 with the skirt. We're clearing. And we're looking good, man. We got the two-tone side molding to match, and we're ready, right? And here we are, man. We got the center gold roasters on it, tucking behind the skirts, man. I love this look, the green and gold. It just looks proper, man. So we got them all four on all around, and I drove the car around like that for a little bit. And stock, I never put hydraulics on it, and it was fun to drive, but it had its time, and it was time to let it go, man. And I got a decent offer from a guy that I still keep in touch with, by the way, and I don't know what he did with it. I'm sure he kept it for a little bit, then sold it, but I ended up selling it. So I ended up selling it to a guy in San Diego who I still keep in touch with. I explained to him the entire car and what I've done. And if you guys remember, you guys have been following the Way Back Wednesdays. I know some of you watch them every time. I talked about how I got a loan for the shop. And I have no problem talking about that because, in my opinion, it was a great investment. So I encourage it. But I got a second mortgage for the shop. And we agreed on a price on the 63 that was going to allow me to pay off the mortgage, the second mortgage on the shop. So here we are, you know, we've been at the house like 2.5 years, and I'm able to pay the loan on the shop with this car. So in my opinion, it was a huge learning experience. I learned a bunch, I had fun, and I was able to, you know, achieve some financial goals. And keep moving, right? So, you know, he wired me the money. That was the first time I ever had anybody wire me money like that. And when the transporter showed up, this guy, he was from overseas, and he couldn't believe that we have cows out here just in fields. He couldn't believe it. And so he loaded it up, and when this picture right here, I was like, man, that Power Glide is going to leak all the fluid out. And sure enough, man, when it arrived in San Diego about 3 days after this, they unloaded it and the thing wouldn't go in gear. And I explained to the guy, I sent him the picture, and I said, man, I bet you it's completely dry. So we added some transmission fluid and got it running again, got it going. And he was happy with it, man. It was a nice car. The interior was really nice. The paint job eventually got to where it needed to be, and it had a narrowed rear end, so it was ready for 13s. Ran good, had a grill guard, had rear bumper guards, had all new glass. So it was a nice car. It was a decent car, man, for the price, especially in the 20s, low 20s at that. So that's gonna wrap up this 63 series for the Way Back Wednesdays, man. This car was a journey. I had a lot of fun with it. I had so much fun that I went and bought another one, man, that we're going to get to on the channel here, hopefully this spring or summer. But this is going to wrap up the Laurel Green 63, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this series. And y'all got to stay tuned for the next one, for the next Way Back Wednesday, where I want to say we talk about, I'm not sure. I think it's a luxury sport. You're going to have to stay tuned, man. Thanks for watching.